Let me start with a question that sits in the back of the mind of almost every man over 60 I have ever treated. Is masturbation after 60 actually healthy? Or is it quietly working against me? Not the version of this question that gets asked in polite company. The real version. The one men ask themselves at 2 in the morning when nobody is listening. The one that carries a little shame just for existing. If you have asked yourself that question, even once, even privately, I want you to hear something before we go any further. There is nothing wrong with you for wondering. Nothing strange. Nothing inappropriate. You are a man with a body that still has needs and questions, and you deserve honest answers, without judgment. I'm Dr. Elena Martinez, a urologist who has spent 10 years working with men who want to understand their bodies, not fight them. And today I want to talk to you the same way I talk to my patients when the door is closed and the pressure is gone. Before we go further, if you appreciate conversations like this one, hit the like button. It helps more men find this when they need it. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I genuinely read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this channel exists for exactly the questions most doctors never have time to answer honestly. All right, let's talk about masturbation after 60. The real version. Here is the problem. Most men over 60 received exactly zero useful information about this at any point in their lives. What they got instead was silence. Or worse, vague warnings about draining energy, weakening the body, acting inappropriately for their age. None of that is medicine. All of it caused harm. Because here is what the research actually shows. Clearly, consistently, without ambiguity. Regular sexual activity, including masturbation, supports prostate health in men over 60. Men who ejaculate more frequently have measurably lower rates of prostate enlargement complications. The prostate is a gland that stores and releases fluid. When it empties regularly, inflammation has less opportunity to develop. When it sits full and inactive for weeks at a time, the opposite can happen. This is not controversial among urologists. It is simply not discussed, because somehow this particular conversation got placed in the category of things medicine decided men should figure out on their own. You should not have had to figure this out on your own. Let me tell you about a patient I see regularly. He is 68 years old, widowed, lives alone. He came to me because he had started experiencing urinary symptoms, frequent urination, weak flow, some discomfort. He also mentioned, almost as an aside, that he had essentially stopped any sexual activity in the 2 years since his wife passed. I asked him gently whether he had considered masturbation as part of maintaining prostate health. He looked at me like I had said something in a foreign language. He said, "I thought that was something men were supposed to grow out of." That sentence broke my heart a little, because it is exactly what most men his age believe. And it is exactly wrong. Sexual activity, including solo activity, is not something men grow out of. It is something their bodies continue to benefit from, in specific and measurable ways, for as long as they are alive. Does this resonate? Tell me in the comments. Even just yes or no. I read everything. Now let me walk you through what I actually see when men over 60 maintain regular sexual activity versus when they stop, because the differences are real and they matter more than most men realize. The first difference is prostate health. Regular ejaculation keeps the prostate gland cycling through its natural fill and empty process. When that process happens consistently, 2 to 4 times per week for most men, the gland stays less congested. Inflammation has less opportunity to develop. Urinary symptoms tend to be milder. The correlation between regular ejaculation and better prostate outcomes in men over 60 is one of the most consistent findings in men's health research. The second difference is vascular health. Every time sexual activity and ejaculation occurs, blood surges through the pelvic vessels. Those vessels flex, stay elastic, stay responsive. When that surge stops happening regularly, when weeks pass without any sexual activity, those vessels begin to narrow slightly. The erectile tissue that depends on regular blood flow starts changing. Not dramatically at first, but consistently, quietly, in a direction that becomes harder to reverse the longer it continues. Think of it like a garden hose that sits coiled in the garage all winter. Come spring, when you finally try to use it, the water pressure is weaker. The hose has stiffened from disuse. It works, but not the way it did when it was used regularly. Your vascular system responds to disuse the same way. The third difference is hormonal and emotional. Regular sexual activity, including masturbation, supports testosterone levels, dopamine production, and the neurological systems that regulate mood, motivation, and energy. Men who maintain some form of regular sexual activity consistently report better sleep, steadier mood, more consistent energy, and a general sense of feeling more like themselves. Men who stop entirely often describe the opposite, a flatness they cannot fully explain, a quietness in themselves that feels like loss, but has no clear name. For the men asking about natural support for prostate health and blood flow, I've left something in the description specifically for men over 60. Worth reading before you scroll past it. Now here is the part one want you to carry with you after this video ends. The shame around masturbation after 60 is not medical. It is cultural. It was invented by people who confused morality with physiology and decided that older men should want less, need less, and ask for less. Your body did not get that message. And your body is right. Desire at 60, at 70, at 80, is not inappropriate. It is not weakness. It is not something to be managed or suppressed or grown out of. It is vitality. And vitality, at any age, deserves respect. The men who age with the most confidence and the most peace are not the men who stopped wanting. They are the men who learned to honor what their bodies needed, without shame, without judgment, without apology. That link in the description, read it today. A lot of men your age found it at exactly the moment they were ready to stop apologizing for still being alive in this way. Tell me in the comments, did anyone ever give you honest information about this when you were younger? Just yes or no. I want to know how many men were left completely in the dark. If this conversation helped you, hit like. It helps other men find this when they need it most. Subscribe so we can keep having the conversations most doctors never finish. And if you know a man who has been carrying shame around this quietly, share this with him. Sometimes the most important thing we can do is hand someone a conversation they didn't know they needed. I'm Dr. Elena Martinez, and I'm here to remind you, your body is not broken. It is not inappropriate. It is aging. And aging, when you understand it, becomes wisdom. Take care of yourself. You are worth it.